Okay, good evening, everybody, and this is just an update video based off of some of the questions that I have been asked from potential players since I uploaded last night. I'm gonna get started with the questions from Lover, and then I will follow up with maybe explaining something for other players that might be interested. All right. So first of all, Lover has asked, "What is Picarian doctrine?" Correction, it is Picanian. It'll be a bit more obvious in the game. Um, and the follow up for that is that the religious law? Okay, Picanian doctrine is the church. It is the theocracy that the world is run by. Okay. It is so in this setting. You've got the Picanian doctrine. I have part one up on the screen right now, as you can see. Let me quickly read part one. Long ago, when the shadow beasts arose, mortals reached their lowest low. Then Picaeus, in all of his wisdom, took mercy upon us and came down up in the mortal flesh. He taught us how to kill the shadow beasts, and one day he will give us the strength to banish the shadow beasts once and for all, and retake the land as we did before the shadow beasts arose. It is imperative that we have those who can defend against the shadow beasts, and those that can work the fields and do the everyday labor. As High Priest Lorga protects his domain, the city of Bolfa, so too are the lower members of the priesthood charged with protecting their own townships. With the tithe that is imposed upon the town, we, the priests, are charged with the eradication of shadow beasts wherever we may find them. So it's a bit of a quick update. Bit of a quick thing there. I'm reading that out because that is basically what's going to be read in the very first part of session one. It is what the players are guaranteed to know as player characters, because in this setting, the Picanian theocracy knows, basically controls the knowledge that the everyday people know about, and they control just about every aspect of the day-to-day life. So that's the Picanian doctrine. Part one. Continuing with the next question from Lover. Is the time frame that society progressed with metal but then collapse, reverting back to the Stone Age, where metal is extremely rare, almost non-existent, or did it evolve without the metal? The former. So what happened was, long ago, when the shadow beasts became a plague upon the land, the society lost access to most of their mines, basically anything that was a source of metal was lost. There is metal in this campaign, hence it being a low metal campaign. However, there is not enough for it to be a currency, and the theocracy controls what is left. That will be coming up later in the campaign, however, and it will be possible to be trained in swords and other martial weapons that are made of metal. But for now, suffice it to say that metal is so rare that even a simple short sword would be classified as very rare under the rarity catalogue. Alright, continuing on. What races are we allowed to play as? Okay, so for this I have it written in, I think I've put it in the opening. Yes, here we go. So in the opening section, so you will immediately have a choice of playing as a human, elf, or halfling, without any risk of any sort of racism. Okay? Elves, however, are so rare that I'm just flat out not going to allow a party of elves. basically be restricted to one elf in the party. More or less. However, there are other races that are going to be playable, but there's going to be some racism involved. Dragonborn, Gnome, or Half-Orc. So those are the other three that will be completely and utterly playable. Half-Orc I had to debate about, but I decided that for the sake of this campaign, Half-Orcs are just human with green skin. That's about the only difference that it actually will make. But there will be racism, so be prepared if you play as one of these alternate races, the Dragonborn, Gnome, or Half-Orc, that you will probably be shunned by most of society. Alright. So next question. Will there be a difference between wizards, clerics, and sorcerers, and other spellcasting subclasses, or are you going to limit to one class with one or two subclasses? Okay. Wizards, clerics, sorcerers, all that sort of stuff, completely playable. However, this gets into character creation stuff that I will be explaining for the sake of Deku, so I'll skip this for now. Will we get a minor history lesson before the start of the game or as the game progresses? Okay, so there will be a minor history lesson where I explain how the world came to be in the state that it is and why it is that you as player characters are where you are. That will be about it. So it'll be very basic, and unless extra lore is required for a certain part of the story, I won't be fleshing out except as here's some extra flavor that is optional for you as players to read. That's basically how I'm going to put that. Alright, finally, to explain, right, for character creation. The module that I have created so far will be designed in that initially players will come up, they will create their characters. What I'm actually thinking of doing is when everybody joins in, I'll just get them all to roll initiative so that, say for instance, that one there, me, rolled a 19. Everyone will roll initiative to make it completely fair so that if say more than one person wanted to be an elf, then it would be completely by the roll of the dice as to who gets to choose to be an elf first. And same goes for other races in this campaign. So that will be how race and class will be more or less decided. Okay? And it won't be the same initiative for the entirety of character creation. Initiative can be changed just for later parts of the campaign. So once you've chosen your race, then I will continue explaining where you guys are. Once your race has been chosen, we will also be deciding the background. So you'll get to go, okay, so what was my role in society? Then from there I won't spoil it, but there's something that will happen, and you guys will have to make another decision then a little bit further along, once a little bit more of the story has been fleshed out, then character creation will continue into classes. Okay? And in this instance, there will be choices that you as players will make that will decide what class you get to be. In this instance, fair warning, alright? There is a possibility that as players you may make the wrong choice to get a class you don't want. And for that, I'm sorry, but as it said in Warhammer Fantasy, you don't always get what it is that you want, and life's not fair. To put it nicely. I'm I'm sorry, but that's how I've decided to make this initial part of the campaign. For later sections where if a character dies, there won't be any bowing out or anything like that. Players will be allowed to continue to play in the campaign. However, their character won't be able to just immediately rejoin with a new character. They will have to wait for a point where I can conveniently add their character into the story. So in that instance, it may be another 2-3 hours, perhaps even another session. Like before I can add the character in. But I promise that if anyone dies, then you will be able to rejoin. It's only if I have issues with players not being able to consistently show up to a session where I will start to consider kicking someone from a campaign, in order for someone else who's waiting in the wings to join the campaign. That will be when I decide to kick someone. It'll only be then. Alright, I think that's about all that I can explain for now without any major spoilers before session 1. I hope that explains for Deku and Lover, and basically anyone else who might be interested in the campaign. Thanks, and I'll see you soon.